Major event is happening in the next week, and that is the Nvidia GTC AI conference. And yes, some of you who've been watching this conference for many years would say, well, this happens every year. And it does happen every year. It's been happening since 2009, but I, like you, didn't really know much about AI. It was mostly in the sci-fi movies in 2009, and in the last year or two, just absolutely revolutionizing the way that we work. And this will be happening in the next week, and render price has actually been pumping a lot off of this, as well as the Nvidia share price. Nvidia used to be more of an insignificant company in terms of a household name. It was just kind of written on your old laptops, etc. And it kind of was. It just generated these GPUs so you could just play League of Legends with your friends and flame that noob on your team because he was feeding. But things are changing, and it's becoming bigger than you or I, or bigger than League of Legends. It is actually becoming part of our day-to-day lives. AI is rapidly developing, and this conference is set to be a very important one, especially for Render. So Render will actually be talking at this conference, and this is the first time they have spoken. They actually spoke before. So the last year they spoke was in 2013, and the CEO basically was talking about the potential of cloud GPU innovations. He's been in this field for a very long time, and essentially he was just saying that GPU architectures provide much better speed increases over CPU rendering, but again, just kind of pioneering the cloud GPU, because this guy's been working on it for over 10 years, but now he's finally built a true company, one that you and I know as the Render Network, and this time he's actually going to be speaking as the CEO of the Render Network. And if there's one way to get a lot of publicity, is definitely this. But in this video, we're going to be talking about what this means for the Render Network, kind of how the Render Network looks to grow and what the outlook is. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll tell you a project that is just like Render, doing the same things as Render, but has a way smaller market cap, so you can potentially make much more returns. But if you do like the content, guys, like and subscribe, really appreciate it. And just started a Telegram group. There's absolutely nothing happening in there right now, so it's just an empty group, but the first 100 members will get lifetime access to any paid groups that I do make in the future. So if you want to just get in, and then I will be looking to post anything I find on Twitter, etc. in there. I just want to get a bit better at it. But anyways, appreciate the support. Let's get into it. So speaking at this event, it's pretty cool, right? This is the first time that he's done it as the CEO, which is pretty crazy, as well as this whole event is around AI, and AI has developed rapidly. And I've shown you this image before, but time to reach 100 million users, and you can just see it in a different light as well. It took Spotify 11 years to do that, and you can think how much better Spotify was than using iTunes, etc. I mean, obviously they took time to actually put some good shit on there, but like, it was much better than using iTunes, right? And you can think about how much better OpenAI was to actually creating content, or just even just general questions, or whatever you do with it. I don't know, maybe it's your best friend that you just talk to all the time, whatever it is. It did it significantly faster. And as we get these new AI models, etc. come out, not even just around content, there can be ways that we don't even understand yet. They're going to get rapid adoption if they truly offer some value that can really revolutionize things and speed up our workflows. So if we can get these softwares out, it is going to be revolutionary for that. And for the crypto space, Render stands prime to take advantage of that. And realistically, the blockchain doesn't really make a ton of difference. It's used for the payments of the nodes, and essentially just creates that ecosystem for people to sell their GPU power in exchange for Render tokens, and then people will pay in Render tokens to use that GPU. Pretty basic. We know that much, so I'm not going to go over that again. The most important thing is that they have enough GPUs, because as we know, currently there is a huge GPU shortage. They're just being bought up left, right, and center. If you watch my other video, I spoke about how this could actually not be true. Actually, big tech companies are buying a lot of these GPUs when the demand might not actually be there right now for them. They're just kind of building that infrastructure right now so they can provide those cloud compute services. But Render does have a unique USP, and that means a unique selling point. For those who don't know, that it actually has its own nodes. You or I, if we have finished using our computer for the night because we've just burnt out on League of Legends or whatever you play whilst you're just doing your downtime and hiding from your problems, you can just put your computer up as a node. And essentially, Render's node nodes have been growing. So I found this for Q1 and Q2. They had around 900 nodes in Q1. Oh yeah, 900 here. And in Q2, they had 1,140. Now actually, Render has recently released their dashboard, and you can see now they have 5,595 nodes, which has gone up parabolically since then. I mean, this is Q2 of 2023. So that's just insane how quickly they've increased their nodes, and obviously the more nodes that they have, the more people can use their network. And it's not just them providing it. So I actually was watching a tutorial, it was kind of boring, on how to use the Render network, and basically the website, you have to have a paid subscription to something. I don't know if it's easy or difficult to use. Obviously with Filecoin, it's actually quite difficult to use their services as a general user. And for the Render network, obviously the main thing that they were going after was for 3D rendering, etc. So it's kind of important that it's easy to use for the general user, whereas Filecoin's kind of focused on the enterprise currently because they're the only ones who have the dev tools to set it up. But yeah, it's just kind of interesting, and you can just upload your file and do a job on here. Not going to go through that, but it's interesting. So, but Render actually has partners in the AI space. So from what I can see, they're not actually pursuing it themselves. That they have 4 partners, and one of them is FedML, and basically you can just go to the homepage, and they're just an all-in-one foundations. You can build your own generative AI applications easily and economically. And we've also got Beam AI as well, so serverless infrastructure for generative AI. And the other one is IONet, so it's the internet of GPUs. And all of these are just positioned to go after the AI side. So Render's not actually doing it itself from what I can see, which is actually quite good. I mean, these are kind of built onto using the Render's infrastructure, and potentially there is so much application for this that we don't even know yet that will emerge as we get further into the development, as well as things start to be built. We might find needs of projects that might not even exist yet. Obviously the Render network is for like designers, etc. to do this, but there might be the need for 3D AI videos, etc. Maybe more of like movies, etc. start to be developed on there because it's so efficient and cheaper than actually just blowing up a car in the street or something like that. Like there is a lot more applications that we still haven't emerged or developed enough tech to yet. So the demand side is expected to grow a lot. And I actually found a bit here. So Render has seen an increase in workload of 20-30% in the last 3 months, and the visualization software market is expected to reach 11.8 billion. Actually, I read something else that said it was going to be like 31 billion. So we'll see what it is. But if there's anything I can recommend in business, it's to go into a growing market. Do not buy a paper company because they are gonna die. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. So, and again, a lot of this will obviously come from the AI side as well, not just this rendering side, which in theory might not grow as fast because people are just going to keep using the rendering software that they probably use, unless Render really does provide that value in terms of much cheaper price and accessibility. I feel like a lot of designers, they're going to be busy, so if it's not as easy to use, they're probably not going to use it as much as if something was much easier. But ultimately they have a price advantage, because if you think about someone like Amazon or Google buying all of that infrastructure, then they have to do maintenance on that. They have to pay staff, they have to pay everything to make a profit. Whereas if you are hosting as a node and anyone can become a node of Render, you can literally just do it here if you want to make some money. Then in theory, Render doesn't have to pay for staff. Obviously they have to pay for the management of the operations, but they don't have to pay maintenance on your GPU because that's not their issue. And there's just a lot of costs associated with Render not having that problem. And the scalability is kind of infinite. It just requires people to sign up, which we're seeing happen a lot. So it kind of has the Uber model, right? Like Uber doesn't own anything. They don't own the cars. They don't own the people just work for them. And something like that can scale rapidly. It's the same as Airbnb. They don't own the houses, etc. They just make a cut on top. And the scalability of that just goes so rapidly because they don't have to build out the infrastructure. And ultimately they don't have to charge as much, because in the Airbnb or the car space, it's down to the operator to repair or keep that in good check. But in this case, obviously, when you're a node operator, you're probably going to be using the chips yourself for doing things. Unless you are just literally setting up a render farm, then fair enough, but at least you're providing some value whilst doing it, which is quite interesting. Just taking a look on June.com, we can see that the render holders are rapidly increasing, which is awesome. Obviously this is going very, very quickly. I mean, lest we forget, we were much further behind before. The one thing to keep in mind on this is, if you look at the Bitcoin ETF, it got approved, but it didn't rapidly grow. So it's not going to be a case of things are just going to quickly quickly go from there. It needs adoption, and it took a while for BlackRock, etc., to sell a lot of that ETF, and that's what I expect to see here. So the one thing to keep in mind whilst looking at Render is to just be watching things like their Twitter score. So we can see here the followers are growing pretty rapidly, so just keep an eye on that, keep going up. I want to see that after the event that we start to see an acceleration of the follower growth, because actually if I take a look on Lunar Crush here, we can see that interactions and posts have kind of peaked. We haven't seen any new growth in this, and if it starts to lose momentum in that respect, there could be a bit of a lull between adoption of real users, etc., and actual growth. So just something to keep in mind in this. There could be this just huge build up to the news and then just kind of loses a bit of momentum. I'm not saying it's not going to go way higher, because I absolutely think it will. It's still got a long way to go, but this is just something to keep in mind, that we have kind of peaked in interest at the moment. It's all it's called Lunar Crush if you guys want to use it, so it's kind of interesting. It can tell you a lot of things about the project that might be of interest to you. And this is a project I found through my good friend, The House of Crypto. So if you don't know him, he does some amazing videos, way better than mine. He's got a lot more energy than me. So if you haven't checked him out, you probably know him already. Go check him out. He's awesome. But this is Claw AI. And basically Claw AI is pretty much the same as Render. Distributed supercomputers that you'll need. Access GPU computing nodes from community members around the world. And actually you can just rent a server straight like this. So it's not exactly the same as Render, but essentially it is just distributed in GPU, so you can do AI training, mining, movie rendering, etc. And the pricing is not exactly clear. I just wanted to see it compared, but you can go down here and you can just rent an RTX whatever 6 core AMD for 0.25 an hour. And I was just comparing this to Render Farm. This is just a website that do it pretty much the same thing, and you can get a 16 core here for 96 cents an hour. So if you didn't need that much power, this is almost quarter the price. Obviously you don't have the 16 cores, but maybe you could get a lower scale. I mean, if you are a much bigger customer. So for the smaller guy, it could actually be a lot cheaper. But anyway, Claw AI has a much smaller market cap, so currently 89 million, but you can see it's rose rapidly, significantly higher than from here. We can see it's up 8,800% in the last year, 52% in the last month. And this is just a much smaller market cap. And as we know, with a smaller market cap, there has the potential to go much higher. Obviously, none of this is financial advice, but if you are looking to get better returns and stay in the AI narrative, this is a good project because it has a very small market cap, relatively speaking, and it pretty much does the same thing as well. And what you can see as well, they have tons of nodes already, so it's not nowhere right now. They have a lot of servers available, so they have started, they have the servers. I don't know if this whole UI is like the best thing right now. It looks a bit meh to me, but it takes time with development, guys, and potentially got a lot of potential in that one, so worth checking out. But anyway, guys, if you liked the video, like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and don't forget to join my Pointless Telegram group right